Last time I showed you how to create an MP3 file from a St. James sermon, and this time I'm going to show you how to add some properties to that file. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a program called MP3 tag, and it's a very easy program to get. If you just go to Google and type in MP3 tag, it's going to be the first result that shows up here, and it's a free download. It's free software, so it's pretty easy to install. And then once you launch it, the first thing you're going to want to do is go up here to the File menu and choose Change Directory, and then choose the directory where you've got the MP3 file that we created last time. Choose Select Folder, and it will show you all the MP3 files in that folder. And so in this case, we're going to work with the 7/22, July 22nd. And we're going to want to populate some properties on here: title, artist, album, year, track, genre, and comment, and also some album art. And so I've created a document to kind of go along with this to kind of explain what we're looking for each of these fields. And so we'll start with the title. That should just be the name of the sermon, and also the theme of the sermon. And this you can get from the bulletin, and I just had it a minute ago. Alright, so I've got the bulletin in front of me here, and the sermon text was from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verses 30 through 34, and the theme was God gives daily bread. And so that is going to be the title, God gives daily bread. And the artist is going to be the preacher, the preaching pastor, and in this case that's Pastor Michael Albrecht. And for artists, it is very, very important that the spelling is absolutely the same whenever it's Pastor Albrecht or any of the pastors. And the reason being is that when the MP3 files go onto an MP3 player, it will be sorted by artist, and if there's any misspelling at all, whether it's a space or an abbreviation or anything, the MP3 player will put it in a different place, and it will be very confusing for the users. So we are much better off if the artist is consistent every single time. And for album, same argument here. The spelling and the punctuation and everything must be the same. So in this case, it's St. James Lutheran Church Sermon. It's best to just copy and paste from this document that I have, and then that way there won't be any mistakes. The year, this will be the year the sermon was preached. In this case, 2012. And the track, we want this to be incremental for every week. And so what we need to do is we need to be able to figure out, okay, what Sunday number was this for the year? And I found a nifty little website that will help us out in that. It's this Calendar 365. And so if we go out here, it will show you a calendar for 2012, and it will have every week numbered. And so if we go down into July 22nd, which is the sermon that we're working on right now, we will see that it is in fact the 30th week of the year. And so for the track number here, we will choose 30. And that's just so every sermon can stay in order. And so for genre, we want podcast and comment. Here, ideally, we'd like a short description of what the sermon is about. Ideally, this should come from the pastor, and this is something that we need to let the pastors know that they need to start giving us, a short description. It doesn't need to be very long. But for us right now, since we don't have that, we'll just take the gospel, what the reading was, and repeat the theme. So Mark 6 verses 30 through 44. God gives daily bread. And the last thing we'll need to fill out here is this album art. We've created a what did I just do? Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, so I must have saved all these tags in the wrong way somehow. What we need to do is we need to click on the file and then click over here so that we know that the tags are being saved to the correct place. I think I had them going off to Never Never Land. So let's just repeat what we just did. God gives daily bread for the title. The artist again, Pastor Michael Albrecht. We'll copy and paste that. Album, St. James Lutheran Church Sermon. We'll copy and paste that. Year is 2012. The track number was 30. The genre is podcast. Comment again was the gospel reading, and we'll repeat the theme because we don't have the text that ideally the pastor would provide. God gives daily bread. Okay, and then down here for album art, if we right click on it, we should have an option here to add cover, and this is what we want to look at. So we've created some album art is what it's called, and these are basically little thumbnails of images. And what these do then is when this MP3 file is played in players, this image will show up to let people know kind of visually what it is that they're listening to. And so we've created this here. It says St. James Sermons 2012. And so if we add that here, we'll see that. And every time this is played in a player of any kind, they'll see this image as kind of a visual representation of what they're listening to. And so if we save this, okay, save tag in one files. Alright, and that's all we need to do for this. It's now ready to go to the website. We're done. The other thing I wanted to talk about here was for Bible studies. The same principle applies. Bible studies are a little easier in the sense that there is no editing that we need to do for the file itself. The Bible study comes already in an MP3 file format, and so we just need to take that and copy it to our computer. And when we do that, we can refresh our MP3 tag application and have it show up here. And so once again, the title for this particular Bible study was done on April 15th by Pastor Albrecht. And I listened to the first couple minutes just to get an idea of what it was about. And it was the Song of Solomon, chapter 5. And so that's what we'll put in for the title, Song of Solomon, chapter 5. And the artist, once again, we want to stay absolutely consistent, so we will copy and paste the artist. And for album, here also we want to stay absolutely consistent for each Bible study series, so that all the Bible studies for that series go in the same album. And so we'll want to make sure that that's all the same. So Song of Solomon, the year the Bible study was done, 2012, track number. Ideally, this should be the number of Bible studies that have happened thus far, and I have no idea exactly the number. I've been told this Song of Solomon has been going on for quite some time, so I will just put 16. It can always be changed later on if we get better information. For comment, same principle applies. It should be a short description of what the Bible study was about. Unfortunately, I don't know anything other than it was for Song of Solomon, chapter 5. So that's what I will put in here. Album art. We don't have any album art for this Bible study series yet. So when we create that, we can update these files and go from there. So we'll save this, and that's basically all we need to do for Bible studies and sermons for updating the metadata. And if you're listening to this, I appreciate all the help that you're giving us. And if you have any questions, shoot me off an email. My email is mikepone@comcast.net. All right, thanks a lot.